People. It's good family. It's been a while. But I'm your boy and I'm still here. It's a force to reckon with in the landings of your logo in the building. Well, on your screens, really. Um, I've been gone for a while, yes, and I've been observing, I've been reading, I've been researching, and still the word of God still ministers into my spirit, and I've come to discover a lot of things. I've got a lot of content. Well, a lot of things I'd love to share and talk about, but today I'll just be focusing on staying true to self, in an ever-changing world. So yeah, let's get it. So we know that the reality of the world that we live in is it's ever-changing. It's continuously changing, and the reality of that is that we need to adapt, so they say. And in the midst of adapting, you may find yourself drifting into a place of losing yourself. I don't want to say in a state of change, because change, you can change and still be true to yourself, but you can change and lose yourself, really. So the aspect of staying true to self in an ever-changing world, we know that the world that we live in is divided into two dimensions, if we can say like that. The reality of the state of the world that is outside of you, and the reality of the world that you see through your eyes, right? And so, even in the journey in the life of Jesus, we see two sides of the realities. There's a narrative where the disciples give us a narrative of the world and what's going on, and they seek to understand Jesus and the life of Jesus through his eyes. And as we readers, we seek to understand life in Jesus' eyes, right? And through his life, right? Because he is the way, the truth, and the life. So now there's a difference of perspective. And so now we live in a world that's actually continuously changing, right? Continuously changing. You wake up today, something else is out. You wake up tomorrow, something has changed. We live in a continuously changing world, and we need to learn how to stay true to ourselves in the midst of the world that we're living in, right? And so now, the aspect of staying true to ourselves is really founded on the base of knowing our identity, right? So by staying true to yourself, you're staying to the truth of who you are meant to be, or who you are in God's eyes, in the hands of your creator, right? And that first and foremost, the first step of that, you need to be aware of who God says you are, right? Having the knowledge of who God says you are. So having the knowledge of who God says you are keeps you aware of the state of your true being and your true purpose, or your true inner being, right? And so as we navigate this life and fully living out our purpose and what we're meant to achieve and what we're meant to do, we need to still stay true in the midst of the changing circumstances of our lives, right? So in the midst of these changing circumstances of our lives will come things that will make you ponder about what you know about yourself, things that will make you actually discover things about yourself, things that will make you question the realities that govern your identity, right? So in the midst of those situations, how do you keep on going in the knowledge of knowing that you're being true to yourself? Or how do you know that now you have lost your true self or your true identity that God has called you to live out, right? So now I just had this discovery in my head, or just observation. When we see Jesus meeting, all right, the scriptural references, where Jesus is encountering two scenes where Jesus goes up to pray on the mountain, and he's aware of his purpose and his identity and what he has to do or not. And the other instance where now Peter is there in defense of what he desires, but it's not his will, right? So Jesus goes up into a mountain. For simple references, Jesus goes up into the mountain. He takes three of his disciples, John, Peter, and I forgot the third. I think it's Luke or Mark. And he takes those three, right? He goes up to the mountain to pray, right? And as he's praying, three of his closest friends sleep on him, man. They just sleep on him, straight up sleep on him, and they're not part of, when he needed them the most. And what we see with Jesus' prayer is that his desire, was not to die, but he understands that his purpose propels him to lay his life to the will of God. He knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't want to do it, right? And so many times we find ourselves in those situations. We know what we need to do, but we don't want to do it because we understand the sacrifice that comes with doing what we need to do, the shame that comes with what we need to do, the burden, shall I say, that comes with what we need to do. Then we know what comes with what we want to do. And most times, for example, you may find yourself in a situation where it requires you to stand alone and it requires you to stay true to yourself. But it's hard because it's not what you want in the midst of what you need to do, right? So now Jesus prays and he's seeking, confirmation or accountability or strengthening from his inner circle. And inner circle could not do it because they did not know what was coming. They did not know the purpose. They didn't know the objective. They didn't know that he had to die on the cross. They didn't know what God had assigned him to do, right? And now Jesus, then finds the strength to say, okay, Lord, let it be your will, right? And we get to those places where, okay, God, you know what? I'm here. Let it be your will. Doesn't mean that's where it ended. Doesn't mean that from that point on, strength came over him, Then he now walks down, and now comes the time where he actually has to be persecuted for his purpose. And a lot of times we need to understand that there comes a season in our lives where we need to be persecuted for our purpose, to live. And I know that, contrary to popular belief, we don't need to suffer to achieve what we are destined to achieve. And that's a misconception that comes with, I don't want to say where we don't speak the realities of actually achieving purpose and actually working in our true identity. There is an aspect and a season or an aspect of suffering in the journey of achieving and staying true to yourself. So in the midst of staying true to yourself, there is that aspect of suffering, right? It can come in various ways. It can come from in external places. It can come from internal battles. But there is a point where you suffer. And we see when Jesus now is persecutors are coming to him, seeking his face, right? He knows what he needs to do, and he knows what he wants to do. But he has to stay true in doing what he needs to do, because that's where his journey and his identity is founded. Imagine if Jesus, when he was being confronted by the persecutors, and actually when Judas had come seeking that they actually persecute him, imagine if Jesus said, because they failed to identify him, so imagine if Jesus actually disputed and said, no, I don't want to be persecuted, I don't want to be nailed on the cross. He would have not have achieved his purpose. He wouldn't be known right now as Jesus the Messiah. He would not be known because he wouldn't have achieved what God had destined him to achieve, right? So in that place when Jesus was now standing in front of the persecutors, and they were asking him where Jesus is, funny enough, that's a whole miracle story right there. But he had the option. He was in his reality, and he had the option to sway away from what he needed to do. And really what you need to do really now in such instances, it goes against everything within you. Your mind, your heart, your body, your feelings. It goes against each and every single aspect of you. But there's that inner knowledge that says, and the only thing that justifies that is that the voice of God. And sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard to identify that now I'm actually hearing the voice of God, but there's something that propels you when you submit, right? We're not there yet. But then now, when Peter and the rest actually discover what these guys are here to do, Peter reacts and protects Jesus by chopping the guy's ear. And mind you, Jesus did not want to die, brothers and sisters. That was the will of God. Jesus did not want do it at a certain point, because the realities we're facing him. The sacrifice of having to die to self, the sacrifice of having to give yourself to your purpose. Because it ain't easy. There comes a season where you need to die for your purpose to live. Right? So now Jesus dies. Jesus actually permits that he may be persecuted, he may actually go through the suffering of purpose. And so I want to remind us that in our journey of this ever-changing world, and in us staying true to ourselves, there is a season in your life where you have to go through the persecutions and the sufferings, and those seasons of long suffering, those seasons of walking in hardship, with the understanding that it's for the bigger purposes, for the bigger picture. So a lot of times nowadays, in the midst of this changing world and staying true to ourselves, the hard seasons are not when things are easy. The hard seasons are where it all looks as if it's not worth it. It all looks as if every ounce of me, my mind, my heart, my wants contradict what my purpose is calling me to do, because it just requires way too much of me. Those seasons are the seasons of staying true to self, are the seasons where the will of God and the power of God propel you out of those seasons. Because your heart, your mind, and your...
What's good family? It's your boy. You know what it is. You know what it is. So guys, this is just a new thing that I'm doing, and I understand that it's not every person that is that watches videos. That some people are readers, and we all build differently. Some people prefer to listen. Some people prefer to watch. Some people prefer to read. So I'll be releasing something very soon on a platform. Really, I'll be releasing guides and journals that I write, that are actually in line with what I'll be talking about for today's video. For example, staying true to self. I'll be releasing a guide in line with that topic. Obviously with the book, you can you can expand more into a topic. You can actually bring more perspective and more insight on it. So that's what the books are going to be all about. Not really books, but journals. So guide, more of like a guide journal, that builds perspective, that brings perspective in different scenarios, to actually clarify the picture and the message. And so I'll be doing that for various videos, for various topics, where they will be speaking on, for the purpose that the mission of God, growth and purpose, is accomplished, that we get to know God better, that we may grow and that we may walk in purpose. That's what it's all about, straight up and simple. So the next snippet is just going to be showing you, I'll be releasing a whole platform, with books and various other things. It's not just only going to be journals and books, but more insight, maybe that's where you can get to know a bit more of me personally better, but we'll be doing that. So be on the lookout when it's out. It's coming soon. It's out. I'll make sure that I really publicize it, I market it, and I put it out there for everyone to know. So make sure, you like and subscribe, and you get, yourself a journal on the guide. Peace and love, guys.
That being said, let's learn from the life of Jesus on how to stay true to ourselves, and really we learn from the different aspects of our lives on how to actually stay true to ourselves, and continuously put purpose first, continuously put purpose, put our needs before our wants, because the bigger picture is worth it at the end of the day. The bigger picture is what defines us, and really at times it's hard to sacrifice, especially nowadays in our life and in our age, where things are moving so fast, where our wants are calling us. Let's stay true to ourselves, guys. It's not easy, yes, but we will get there. There is a bigger picture, there's a bigger purpose. It is all worth it, the word of God affirms it. The promises of God are yes and amen. And the promises of God, are true. And God is not a man that he should lie. So when purpose was revealed to you, God promised you that that's what he aims to achieve with you. And our responsibility is to be in right standing in terms and other terms righteousness, and right standing means we should stay true to ourselves even in the midst of this changing world. I know I could have dived in a lot much more further for this specific topic, but I feel like to what I just over our individual lives, to what God forms and calls us for, and we will see the fruits. Yeah, yeah. Peace and love, peace and love. Oh, yeah. See you guys soon. Peace and love, good people.